Hello and welcome to you all. Today I'm going to present the latest update which I've been working on for the last month for the Calculus. It's going to be a huge update compared to the previous version. The main reason behind is that now instead of using one correlation we can use multiple types of correlation at the same time. So for example, in the previous version we had just the correlation with BTC USD. Well, now I have adapted, and instead of just using BTC USD, I'm also using ATH BTC chart and BTC dominance chart. Those two can be changed. You can also use, if you want, total from the crypto market cap as well. And by using this, the big change, the part of the BTC USD, it's still going to be the main calculation area, while the second ones are going to use, in this case, I would say a slower calculation points. Like for example, in this case the numbers are in reverse. So for example, if I use a length of 7, in this case, for example, let me show you actually with the standard correlation. So for example, if we are using the length of 7, you can see that in this case we would have 193 trades. If I would use, for example, the length of 6 for the volatility calculation, I would have 152 trades. And if I use, for example, the length of 5, so in this case you can see that the trades, the time between trades and the amount of trades, it's less and less. We have been using the length of 7 for already more than 2 years, and in this case for the ATH BTC and for the BTC dominance I'm using smaller lengths for the volatility calculation. I'm using a smaller value because in this case I'm looking more for accuracy. So by using a smaller value into this one, I'm going to have a less, not so often, signal. But when it's going to be, is I'm going to combine it together, with this one, and if those two, for example, match the general direction that we have, from the BTC chart, then it's going to give us an even more, approximation of an oncoming trend. Both it could be, short trend or the back trend. So you can see the difference. Like for example, if I would just use the BTC USD, in this case, for example, if we would use the extra correlation, we would have 200 trades and we would have close to 3 million on the total compounded ROI. And if I use standard, in this case, I would have 193 trades, but you can see that the profit is almost by half, reduced by half in this case. So with that in mind, there are going to be some periods, like imagine for example now, for example, we are having the BTC USD chart, but then in parallel we are going to have 2 more. So in this case, for example, this one can be the BTC, this one can be ATH BTC and BTCD. As you may know already, from the plot in general, I have a different type of calculation, for the value of the asset which we are using. So in this case, the value of BTC USD, and we can see that you can see that in this case, the value which I had, it's pointing us, current price of 19,300. Well, with those two, I do the same. So internally, I cannot represent them, but internally, I am doing the same. And there are going to be some times, like for example, the market can be flat on the BTC USD, but the ATH BTC is suddenly going to have an increase. So because we are going to use, a very, very accurate length in this position, there is a very high certainty that, we are going to have a general upcoming trend on the entire crypto environment. So yeah, this is more or less regarding the the addition of the extra correlation. And you can see here we will have the settings. So for example, for the HBTC, we are going to use a length of 5, and for the BTCD, we are going to use a length of 6. They are less reactive than than the normal one, but they are very, very accurate. Everything else, for example, the settings from the dominoes, the setting from the sideways, the risk market, the break even, they all have been not changed, they are the same. We also have a small difference on the stop loss. Previously we had 8%. I have reduced a little bit further to the 7% based on some calculation which I had done for the last month. So with this in mind, you can see that, let's see the differences compared, for example, to the previous versions that we have. So in this case, I'm going to use the data from 2015 until the present initially. And you can see, for example, downwards is going to be the old version that we had, and upwards is going to be. You can see that, for example, in this case, our standard current calculation from 2015, it will be 1.4 million compared to our, which is almost 2.9. So you can see it's twice better. And we can see that, for example, this year, our current version, it would be at 45. This one would be the new one on 63. Last year, more or less, they are the same. 20% increase as well in 2021. 2020 would be the same. So yeah, when we are going to have a big trend, we are going to benefit much more from the extra correlation. When we are going to have a side market or a short trend, we are not going to see so much difference. But when we are going to have a big trend, it doesn't matter if it's, well, it's more important for the long part. We are definitely going to benefit, from the extra correlation calculation. And we can see, for example, the same on ATH USD. Let's put in this case, for example, from 2018, so we would have a more accurate data calculation, and here as well. Reduce the plot for now. So we can see that, for example, with the current version of Calculus, we would have 100,000, while, for example, with this new one, you can see it would be 200,000. So it's exponential, the same like on the Bitcoin part. Regarding the performance, you can see that for this year it would have been better. Last year, the previous version would have been better. However, it's a huge difference when we had a big bullish trend, for example, in 2021 and 2020. Not so much, but then again, the previous year would have been in our favor. One of the settings which we could do on the ATH USD, we can make it a little bit more reactive. And for example, in this case, because we are using ATH chart on the ATH BTC, we can increase it a little bit further. So in this case, for example, from 5 we can use instead 6. And if we are going to do that, you can see that I believe it was this one. You can see that, for example, when we would have a huge bull market, the radius is going to increase even further. So this is something that you can keep in consideration, for the future bull market when it's going to come. Until then, you can stay with the default settings, or maybe if you want, you can correlate yourself with the standard version what we have. So for that, for example, we will put both the BTC dominance and the ATH BTC on 5, and we will get the big correlation, from the BTC chart. And by doing that, as well, we can kind of achieve a sort of balance between the settings. But yeah, both of them, both of the settings that we have, they are working. So yeah, with this in mind, now I'm going to publish it, and it's going to be, in this case, when you are going to go in the indicators and when you are going to apply Calculus MTF alerts and strategy, when they are going to appear, when you are going to apply them on the chart, you are going to see them as Calculus MTF V3, both for the strategy and for the alert. I would recommend for those that are using, the previous version, the V2, when you have your own settings or stuff like that, create yourself, a new layout. And for example, on the new layout here, you can assign the old version that you have. For example, you can take the V2 with alert and with the strategy. You can put them here, and then, for example, you can save it as, so in this case, Calculus V2, alert plus strategy BTC USD, And then I would recommend, you know, create a new one. And for example, for the new one, you will go and take the V3. And in this case, for example, you would put here the V3. So this way you can keep yourself more organized, you know, the layouts. However, if you have some issue with this, no problem, because since I am the developer, I have access to previous historical versions, you know, of a product, so I can create a personal chart for you with the versions that you want. So if you need V2, I can give you that. But yeah, I would say more or less this is what we have regarding the new updates. In the next following minutes, I'm going to submit the changes into it. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, please just let me know. Thank you all for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.